All right, so I think we can go ahead and start.
Great, let's do it.
All right, so before we start, let me just go ahead and give an overview of the structure for today's AMA. So we have three parts for the AMA. The first part will be an introductory part where we'll get to hear introductions from you and also your team members that are on the call. And then we'll also have some questions that have been selected from our committee members. Very exciting questions, I must say, that we'd also like you to answer in the first part. For the second part, our community members will have the opportunity to send in their questions live, and then you will also be provided with the opportunity to select questions from amongst the questions that will be sent in. And the third part is the quiz part, and yeah, that's the community part of the thing, and a link will be dropped for the quiz when it's time. So I think we can go ahead and start with an introduction. So I'd like you to first of all, you introduce yourself to us. You tell us your role in FORE Protocol, and also we want a brief background of how FORE Protocol started as well. So you can go ahead.
Sure. So I'll start off as I've been up here with you guys before. So some of the community members I've already spoken with, but I'm Timothea and I'm one of the co-founders of FORE. In terms of my background, I spent the majority of my career in marketing within the fintech sector, mostly within payments, mobile, and data, which kind of felt like a natural progression then into the blockchain, specifically the DeFi space that I've been in now for 5 years or so. So most recently, I was CMO of an exchange aggregator project that I was with from inception and helped get to within the top 100 market cap, and left there a year ago, actually a year and a half ago now, to start building FORE with my two other co-founders. And yeah, it's been an incredible ride since. So yeah, excited to be here and also to be with everyone at such an exciting time for FORE. We've had a ton of milestones over that time, but right now we're really on the cusp of when things get serious, right? FORE token is going live. Our mainnet will be live shortly after. So it's a really exciting time for your community to start learning about FORE.
Interesting.
Mo, jump in.
Yeah, we're happy to,
Go ahead.
and I appreciate you all taking the time to join us today. It's a pleasure to meet everyone here, and excited to tell you a little bit about FORE Predict and FORE Protocol more broadly. In terms of my background, again, my name is Merv. I'm a co-founder here at FORE, and also on the team. So, kind of have been involved in the project from start, and have really have had the opportunity to see the team kind of grow and flourish, and see the product kind of grow through that time as well. My background, I started my career in the hedge fund and asset management space, and ultimately, kind of specialize in private equity, and ran a variety of different businesses, and started a variety of different businesses kind of through that time. I also have been involved in the crypto space pretty early on, starting around 2015. So I've kind of seen the industry go through a variety of cycles, and of course, the volatility that kind of comes with that. But overall, I think that experience, both on the business and on the blockchain side, has kind of shown both me and more broadly our team, just how to be goal oriented in the context of long-term goals and long-term thinking. And I think that's something that really kind of resonates through our experience and through our team. So yeah, I'll pass it back to you, and hopefully we can get started and chat a little bit about FORE.
All right. Thank you, Timothea and Merv. I must say that going through your profiles on your website, I'm very much impressed with the quality of team members that you have. I can see about 18 team members on the team, and quite a lot of experience stacked in your team, I must say. So I think before we proceed, maybe you can just give us a brief introduction into what FORE Protocol is all about. What kinds of problems are you intending to solve with the protocol?
Yeah, sure. Why don't I start out with that one, Timothy, and then you can help out and any gaps that I missed.
Sure.
Ultimately, what FORE Protocol that exists to do is to serve a very particular purpose as a protocol. That is to be the conduit and the link between real world data and real world outcomes and the blockchain. And there are a variety of ways that we ultimately intend to do that, and I'm sure we'll get into all of that in this conversation. The first real product and protocol that we intend to launch as part of this broader family and goal is FORE Predict. What FORE Predict does is creates a a smart contract that allows users to create peer-to-peer markets on real outcomes and allows them to participate in the markets on each side. And because FORE Predict is the first of its kind in bringing a fully decentralized ecosystem for predictions and for real world outcomes, it's really serving two purposes. And one of those purposes is alleviating specific frictions in the traditional betting and predictions markets world. And what I mean by that is, when we look at traditional predictions markets, it's a centralized entity that is establishing, certain odds based on an outcome. And, that is often laden with hidden fees. It's an inefficient market for a variety of reasons. And, we as proponents of decentralized technology and as builders and developers, we believe that that industry is ripe for innovation, and we think that the ideal tool for that innovation is blockchain. So when we kind of look at the opportunity set, we see a very large industry in terms of traditional predictions markets, and we can look at that as sports betting as a category. Maybe that's an analog in the real world for a predictions market. But another type of predictions market, just as an example, is insurance, right? That's basically saying, will a certain outcome occur or not occur? And so we think that there are a variety of really interesting applications for predictions markets. And what we think the real problem is centralization. And so what we are trying to do is create a decentralized offering, in this space that also brings more involvement. And I think this is something that is really important about FORE Predict. We actually created, this architecture with the help of the community. It's really been a truly decentralized process. And one of the pieces of feedback that we've heard, from the start is having a reward-based system in the predictions market space. And so with FORE Predict, users are able to create their own markets, and they actually are able to receive as a reward for their participation in the protocol and in the ecosystem, a percentage of all the participation that goes into that market. So it's really innovative from that perspective. In addition, if you're participating in these markets, you get better quote unquote odds because everything's peer to peer and settled, right? There's no third party, right? Because everything's being facilitated through smart contracts. And then the last piece is there's a validation element where the users can validate outcomes of markets, and they receive a reward for that as well. But for sure, we'll kind of get to that. I think that maybe gives an overall perspective of what FORE Predict is. And I'll pass it to Timothy. Maybe she can address any items in this.
Yeah, so not for like trying. I think it was just more for the signal. I think there were the initial part was missed out there, Merv. But just one thing I will just add to kind of tie it all together for users who haven't come across FORE before is that they may be familiar with predictions markets, but FORE is really the first of its kind in that it's a truly decentralized peer-to-peer predictions ecosystem that's powered by people. And I think we all know about, the house always wins, and the incentive structures of these centralized entities like casinos, bookmakers. What we set out to create is essentially a set of smart contracts where people create the markets. They create prediction markets on anything they like, whether it's sporting events, politics, weather, Discord rankings. People participate against each other in these markets, and so there's no house, and they validate the market outcomes themselves. So it's an entirely new concept where it's entirely powered by people, as prediction markets should be, because they are powered by the wisdom of the crowd. So just wanted to add that in case that was missed from the start from Merv.
Thank you.
All right,
Thea.
thank
As
you.
always, value added and always clarifying the points. Appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Murph. Thank you, Timothy. One of the things I like from the introduction you've given is the fact that FORE Protocol is actually people-centered. So it is created for and also powered by the people. And of course, these are the kinds of decentralized technologies that we need within the blockchain industry. Like I mentioned earlier on, we have questions that have been selected from our community members, and I'm sure that you will also be excited as well to provide answers to them. They are quite exciting, and I'm sure that the questions will give us the opportunity to know more and also dig deep into a lot of functionalities in FORE Protocol. So if you're ready,
Yeah.
I think we can go ahead and start.
We'd love to.
Pavel?
Yes.
Yeah, let's go ahead.
Yeah. So guys, I'm gonna drop each question in the AMA chat group. It's right above the voice AMA, so you can go and read them. But I will also read them to the public at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But in order just not to miss maybe some details, for you to know that the questions are there, so you can check them anytime. Okay. So here we are with the first one. Seeing that FORE Protocol has adopted the hyper-deflationary mechanism, kindly give us details as regarding FORE's hyper-deflationary mechanism and how the tokenomics are being programmed in ensuring long-term credibility of both the token and the FORE's ecosystem at large. How is the token supply related to the market's conditions and NFT minting interaction? And how is the FORE token scarcity accomplished?
Okay, well, I can jump in on this one. There's kind of a lot that was referenced there. Most importantly, I think the hyper-deflationary mechanism, but also important to touch on the token supply and how that's related to the market structure and the NFT minting. So really, ultimately, all of these are interlinked. So I'll start off by prefacing this as we wanted to create a really, I mean, we've been in this industry as investors for a long time, and we've come across so many projects with these hyperinflationary reward models where they are projects are just using the mint function constantly for rewards, promising insane APYs, and the reality is that the minting of new tokens ends up superseding the value that you would have been getting from that quote unquote passive income. We've all been burned by that in the past, and so we wanted to set up. We set about wanting to build something sustainable and that was underpinned by real activity, not just hype and speculation and pulling numbers out of the sky. So the biggest thing for us in terms of our reward model is we never mint new tokens for rewards or ever. For users, we redistribute platform fees back to the users for their productive activity. So that's half of the platform fees are redistributed to users for market creation or validation. 1.5% goes to the protocol as revenue, and then the remainder is burned and permanently removed from supply. And it's this burning mechanism that we've actually built into the platform that is really important for us, rather than having just arbitrary burn events that people kind of make a big song and dance about, which end up just really being gimmicky and benefiting the founders rather than the project itself. The deflationary nature of FORE is built into the protocol mechanism. So as activity on the platform increases, as new markets are created, as new NFTs are minted, the supply of FORE decreases. So yeah, we've got a number of different functions that reduce the supply of FORE. That 1% of all prediction markets that are created is burned and removed from the supply. 100% of NFTs that are ever minted on the platform are burnt, and also various other ways through validation, incorrect validation penalties, market creation, and more. So really the elements of a sustainable reward model and activity-driven deflation go hand in hand, because we're not minting new tokens for rewards. Instead, we are rewarding activity through fee redistribution. And then that incentive drives further activity on the protocol, which reduces the token supply. So all of these are interlinked, and I think it's a really critical part of the FORE ecosystem.
All right. To provide clarity, I think part of the concerns around hyper-deflationary token model is the fact that in order for it to be sustainable, there has to be, to a large extent, increased level of activity on your platform. So yeah, how do you ensure, how do you plan to ensure that, as far as the level of activity is concerned, there is that sufficient level of activity continuously on your platform to ensure that this specific model is actually sustainable?
Yeah, that's a great question. And really, that's all to do with incentives. What reason in the long run, once someone understands and knows how to use the platform, what reason would someone go to a bookmaker like Bet365 or whoever to take a position on a market there, when instead they can take part in the FORE ecosystem, and rather than just being charged for the privilege, can earn fees back for their activity on the protocol. So yeah, there's a ton of other benefits to using the platform beyond that, but ultimately it comes down to the incentives. People are incentivized to create markets because they get 0.5% of every market they create. Because of that, they are then incentivized to market their market, essentially. So if you think about someone who could be a sports influencer who is regularly talking about different topics, they can start monetizing their audience and create markets on all of these different sporting events that they're talking about, driving the users to their market. They in turn profit. The user benefits because they're getting they're participating in a fairer predictions ecosystem, and us as FORE benefit too, because it's we're bringing new users to the platform. So it kind of becomes a self-sustaining model where the activity creates activity.
All right. Thank you for clarifying. Eva, you want to say something?
I don't know if you wanted to add anything into that.
Oh, okay.
No, I think really well.
All right. Thank you for your answers to the questions that was provided. So I think we can go ahead to the next question.
Yes, let's see the question number 2. So you have in place a dispute resolution system to handle dissatisfaction. So users with grudges and high guards analysis can vote for dispute fees, and the dispute process is to last for 12 hours. Will every participant have to wait till dispute is solved before you release payouts to them? What happens if there are several disputes on the market outcome and it is possible to resolve it within 12 hours? Will it be extended? Also, for a successful dispute, you said that dispute creator receives dispute feedback and 50% of FORE locked into incorrect analysis NFTs. So where will the other percentage go to, and will there be a full refund of bet wager back to everyone who participated in the pool, whether they initiated the dispute or not?
Yeah, it's a good question. And before I start, Timothy, if I have any signal issues, just please jump in and interrupt me.
I'll do.
So basically, just to set some context, the dispute resolution mechanism was implemented and kind of created in mind, or with a particular goal in mind, and that is to have essentially a referee type structure for a decentralized process. So generally when you look at failures of decentralization, right? It's generally well, one of the key issues is there isn't a decentralized way to to tap in some type of decentralized referee that then creates a different process that has incentives to drive the right outcome. And so we wanted to have that type of structure with FORE. And what I mean by that is the only way that a dispute is actually created is if it's raised by a participant in a particular market, right? And so from there, it becomes more or less a decentralized process because holders of high guard NFTs, which ultimately will be trusted and kind of particular participants in the community. These people will effectively be validating that dispute, right? So it becomes a validation process the same way that we have a validation process for the outcome of a market, right? This becomes the validation of the dispute. And so that's essentially the general concept that that we're working toward. In terms of the way it's implemented, not every market is disputed. And so the concept here is, it's a decentralized process, and we want to allow for almost like a referee type of mechanism for these markets, right? So if someone thinks that the outcome of that market was, verified incorrectly, they can raise that and basically creates a tripwire and a flag and a review process for the community to value that outcome, right? And our as you mentioned, kind of reward for doing so. And as Timothy rightly mentioned, all these rewards are pretty much self-contained. So the source of the tokens that are rewarded to correct and accurate dispute rate would be portion of the incorrect the correct validators and NFTs that were staked on the wrong side of that market outcome. So basically, it's like a fair, completely automated from a smart contract perspective and in terms of the logic, and in terms of facilitating that transaction and settling those markets, and that's really the goal. So the idea is, you can kind of trust the entire process because ultimately it is centralized, and it's a pretty unique way to kind of address that issue. Timothy, you want to jump in and add anything to that?
No, we heard you through that, so that was great. I would say I think this is a really critical part of the system because, Merv, as you said, in a people-powered or decentralized ecosystem, there are going to be people who are going to try and be bad actors in the space. So we need to make sure that we can ensure the validity of this ecosystem, and when payouts depend on the accuracy of it. So this is an area of the protocol itself that we spent a lot of time focusing on, and I think I'm excited to see it really in action as well.
Just a follow-up question, by the way. I know for some people who are seeing this for the first time, maybe you could explain who are actually these high guard analysts. Who are they, and how? Yes, so is it that anybody who has a certain amount of money can buy an NFT and just become a high guard analyst, or what? So I think maybe for those who are just joining, you might want to clarify this, because at the center of this dispute resolution is the high guard analysts.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think it's important to take a step back to the wider validation model in general, because we have had questions around, what is the barrier to entry? Can I buy, mint an NFT with 1 million FORE and become the biggest validator in the ecosystem? No, you can't, because for us, we wanted to create a democratic and fair model that doesn't have, that there's no kind of monopoly based on just how much FORE someone holds. Instead, everyone starts out with the same amount, and they mint an NFT with 1,000 FORE, and then they build up their reputation through accurate validations. With enough accurate validations, you can level up your NFT to the 4th tier, which is the black tier. And then a small selection of those kind of really top tier validators will become the high guards, because they've proven through hundreds of validations that they are reputable, accurate, loyal validators. They also have a lot to lose in acting as in a bad way, because they've leveled up their NFT to the point where every time you increase the NFT tier, you're increasing your kind of earning potential. So we wanted to create this asymmetric model where you through the right behavior, you can really earn a lot as a validator on the platform, but through the wrong behavior, you risk losing it all. So that was an important part for us as well. But essentially, the high guard is not. It's decentralized. It's just the top tier validators on the network. We are also speaking with third parties, various kind of decentralized validation entities that would that could step in at the let's say that a dispute is unable to be resolved between the high guard. In very rare circumstances, there would be a third party validation model that would step in there just to prevent any form of centralization from the team itself.
And if I could just jump in really quickly, I think that's one other situation to consider that we haven't mentioned is, well, what if you make a mistake and you accidentally validate the wrong side, right? And this kind of dispute resolution mechanism is intended, to protect users from that, that type of scenario as well. So, I think it's not always like sometimes there are accidental outcomes that need to be addressed, and it's not always just malicious ones. And one of the things that we heard pretty often when we were speaking to users and getting their input on our test net and the building of our product, we thought about how to manage that, right, and how to make sure that that even if, let's say, someone accidentally staked their NFT on the wrong side of a market, that didn't necessarily mean that they lost their NFT, right? There was some type of recourse and process for due diligence there. So, like Timothea said, it's all about making sure that the protocol is operating in a decentralized way and in a very fair way.
That's a great point, Merv. I think that also touches on the fact that because it is a people-powered ecosystem, people are creating the markets themselves. There's going to be a level of ambiguity, at least to start with, as people are getting accustomed to how they effectively make markets, and then there's going to be question if markets aren't clearly created and clearly state what the resolution outcomes are, then they will likely end up in dispute. So there's a huge element of education there that we have been working on and identifying what the kind of the levers are for that during our testnet period. But ultimately that's where we saw the most frequent cases of dispute were not malicious activity, just people didn't necessarily agree on an outcome. So that's it's a great point. It's important for us to have that dispute process in place to get to the bottom of that.
Okay, thank you, Merv. Thank you, Timothea. It's good to actually know that you have thought out all the scenarios that are involved, just to ensure that the dispute resolution process is as fair as it can be. And one of the main points I got from your clarification is that even as validators, you have to earn it, not just buy it. So I think we're ready to go to the next question. Yeah, you want to add something?
No, I was just saying that's correct. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, right. Thank you.
Okay,
so perfect. I think we can go to the next question. Yeah.
Thanks, guys, for your answers. Let's see the next question. So in the context of FORE Oracle, the crowdsourced decentralized Oracle, what advantages does it offer compared to traditional oracles? Can you provide examples on how FORE Oracle's crowdsourced approach enhances the accuracy and reliability of real-world data on the blockchain? And also in terms of the FORE Protocol's governance model, how are decisions made and implemented within the ecosystem? Can you elaborate on the role of token holders and validators in shaping the direction of FORE Protocol and its associated applications?
Yeah, that's a great question. Sorry, I was just muted there. So again, I'll kind of step back for the benefit of everyone who may not be familiar, because I know that we've just spent 30 odd minutes talking about predictions, and now we're talking about oracles. So for context there, FORE Predict is actually just one application that we are building on FORE Protocol. FORE Protocol itself exists to incentivize the wisdom of the crowd to bring real world data to the blockchain. And in doing so, we've created the architecture for a number of Web3 solutions that remove friction and decentralize real-world industries like prediction markets, oracles, auditing services, and more. So just wanted to kind of give context as to why we're now talking about oracles. And I think it's a great, even within the context of prediction markets, it's important because the current prediction landscape really lacks a scalable oracle. Right now, different entities are reliant upon a really fragmented marketplace of centralized APIs and data providers, whether it's different sporting events or weather events for different outcomes. But with our NFT validation model, we essentially have built and are building a decentralized network of validators who perform the role of oracle and upload the results from real world events to the protocol by validating these market outcomes. So we have kind of made this reference as a team before, but in the same way that Google indexes real world information, we are indexing real world outcomes on real events. And I think the scale, like the kind of opportunity that this creates is really quite incredible, because it creates an oracle that is both granular and really niche on whether it it could be whether it rained on the pitch during F1 Monaco, or broader kind of wider topics, so talking about wider market trends. So you have the opportunity to create this at the same time really specific but really kind of broad and all encapsulating oracle, essentially. I think Merv maybe would be best to touch on the tech underpinning it, because I know that this is one of the areas that he geeks out over most.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, no, it's definitely something I get excited about, because one thing that we didn't mention, or maybe we mentioned too much, but this would be the first of its kind in terms of a decentralized oracle, right? And really, when you consider, well, what is an oracle? It's a single source of data that is considered to be true, right? That's circulated, and then subsequently smart contracts are kind of driven. Smart contract logic is driven off of like that particular value. And look, that's a fantastic architecture in terms of building applications, but it may not be the best architecture in terms of building scalable, decentralized applications. And so going back to really where this thing kind of began, and we don't want to share too much in terms of we're working on a lot of things in the background, and we kind of want to save some things for subsequent announcements, which are coming up soon. But let's just say that FORE Predict is would be the first of many applications of their kind, which together could be joining that on-chain data in terms of real world outcomes, and not necessarily needing to rely on a centralized entity, and instead that entire ecosystem and all the smart contracts drive generating revenue for the people and the participants that are creating that value. And that's exactly what decentralization is about. So we really strive to be part of that community, and to be honest, like we're just we're just folks, some folks in the background, working on this, but this is a decentralized product. We really value decentralization. Our ultimate goal is kind of building out that type of solution.
Right.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
sorry, I just add to that as well. It really came about from us being so. I mean, we were so development focused when we first started, or we continue to be, of course. But we wanted to come to market with a product, rather than the typical launch first, build later model, which so many people employ. I think people are kind of sick of that at this point. But by being so focused on building, we became so kind of zoomed in on predictions. And we've begun to realize that the scale of the actual underlying infrastructure and architecture that we built, and the opportunities that of kind of scaling that into other sectors. So while we are focusing on FORE Predict, for the meantime, absolutely that is our number one focus. There's also a ton of things going on in the background to kind of scale us horizontally as well as vertically. So lots to come.
Awesome. By the way, I'm just a bit curious because whenever oracles are mentioned, there are certain concerns that comes to mind because oracles serve as a data breach. Part of those concerns, of course, have to do with, first of all, the authenticity or the reliability of the data that's involved, and sometimes even privacy concerns can come into play. So, in your own case, how reliable, how authentic are the data that are passing through your oracle, and do these data in a way, go on to affect the outcome of predictions?
Well, I mean, if you think about sorry. I was just going to say, if you think about the way that it operates, is essentially in the same way that we've just been talking about the dispute mechanism, the validity of the validation process. It would be the same kind of model, but instead of predictions, it could be you could deploy that across a ton of different industries. But for predictions itself, that also becomes a incredibly valuable tool because people are rewarded for submitting requests for data, the data itself, and the validation of data. So it's essentially the same, but a similar model.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, and Jonah, it's a really good question. The way I kind of think about this is, it's the difference between me telling you that a certain candidate won an election, and if I told you that 87.5% of of the voters voted for this candidate, and these were the descriptive statistics through time. And here are potentially overlaying events through that time, and you can see the time series implications perhaps of news and how that affected sentiment, right? And so it's things like that. So it becomes much more granular than kind of what exists today, which is purely a floating point number. What's the price? And of course, what we're building here is the next iteration of innovation on the internet and of money. And the hypothesis is we need more granular, decentralized tools that can drive smart contract logic than what we have currently. And it's very likely, and we hope that we can kind of be collectively the community to put that together and to implement that solution. But really, the way I think about it is, it's not it's not or, it's really and, because ultimately what we need to do is get to a place where our smart contract logic can be more dynamic, and it can be driven off of the data streams that are decentralized in nature.
Thank you for actually clarifying and your impressive answers as well. You want to add something, Timothy?
No, ready to move on.
All right. All right.
So
So I
let's
think we
move on.
can.
Yeah, let's move on to the
Yeah.
question number 4. So describing hyper-deflationary features of FORE token, you have stated that users are rewarded with their activities in FORE token. So I'm curious to know more details on this feature. What kind of activities will be considered when distributing rewards? What is the mechanism of calculating the reward percentage for each activity? And is this feature available for free users too? And if yes, do paid users get better rewards than free users? Please also let us know whether and when these rewards are withdrawable to our private wallets.
I can start off. So firstly, we don't have a free or paid model. In the nature of decentralization, everyone is able to participate in the same way on the protocol, and everyone is able to earn rewards. We do have fees, low fees, I will say, that for activity on the platform, but these are redistributed back to users in the form of rewards, as this user mentioned. So in terms of how users can earn rewards, I know I kind of touched on how we were thinking about rewards more broadly earlier, but there's two roles primarily that someone can generate for on the platform, or earn for rather. So number one is the market creation. So we've mentioned earlier the opportunity that someone has for creating unique and interesting prediction markets. Not just from a point of wanting to participate in them, but being able to monetize sports that may not necessarily exist on certain platforms or in certain regions, or kind of different events that, again, are far more granular than you would find on a traditional kind of prediction market. And this user, the creator, will earn 5% of the total market payout. So, as I mentioned earlier, it's in their interest to market their market and actively promote the market to bring more kind of liquidity and volume. And we have a phrase that we use it for, that this allows you to become the bookmaker. And why I think this is interesting and really a unique addition to the predictions ecosystem is it provides kind of various other ways to participate in predictions beyond just traditional betting, quote unquote, or participation. You can earn rewards regardless of the outcome. It doesn't matter if Man U beat Bayern Munich or not. If you, as the market creator, have a liquid market, you're going to be earning rewards regardless. So that is one area, and then market validation as well. And again, this is something that you may not necessarily be into going on Bet365 or wherever and kind of participating in markets, but you may be very avidly following the World Cup. So you, as an analyst, you can earn rewards for simply confirming that an outcome took place. So did X beat Y? Yes. And you're responsible for verifying that outcome is accurate. Again, as we touched on, that's recorded to the blockchain. And you can earn up to 2% of the total market size through that activity. So these are both of these roles really. We have 3 roles on the platform. The other one is the player itself, but these roles act as the architecture really, because the players will be bringing in the revenue, sure, but if they don't have interesting and liquid markets to participate in, or if they don't have markets being validated to ensure fast payout, they're not going to be coming back to the platform. So that's why we have this reward distribution, because the market creation is just as important as the people participating in the market and the validation. So again, it's a kind of symbiotic relationship there.
Thank you, Timothy.
One
I
thing
think for
I just wanted to add on was that there was a question on when the rewards are withdrawable to the wallets, right? I think that's an important one. So as soon as the market is resolved, you can claim your funds and withdraw to your wallet. Again, it's a decentralized platform. But one of the biggest benefits of using something like FORE over a traditional bookmaker is we will never be able to halt or never would halt your payout, your funds. It's all occurring via smart contracts. So there's no way that you would ever have an issue with withdrawing your funds. Right, they're yours.
Awesome. So I think for me, my preferred role will be an analyst. That sounds more easy for me to do. Simply just validate that an outcome is true or not. So I think I like the fact that everyone actually has a place in the FORE Protocol. So that means,
exactly.
it's an open field for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we call it kind of almost passive income because it's not passive income, and that passive income rewards someone for not doing anything, and those models are unsustainable. What we're actually doing is rewarding productive activity that helps benefit the ecosystem and everyone within it. So it's a far more sustainable model in our eyes.
Right, that's true. So I think we're clear on that.
Yes,
we can move on to the next.
Let's proceed to the last question of part 1, question number 5. I read that FORE token will be live on exchanges on the 30th of June. So what are the exchanges you have chosen? And according to what you have stated about the token, first public round will occur in 3 phases, namely community launchpad and centralized exchange before the 30th of June. So can you explain about each stage? What are the requirements to participate in those stages? And I also noticed that there are referral contests for distributing FORE token. Please briefly explain about the rules and the awards of the contest. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. I can jump in and maybe Timothy, I can also help out with some details there as well. But really, what we're trying to do as it relates to exchanges is make sure that as many users have access to the token and to the platform, the mainnet platform subsequently as possible. We are pushing toward an end of June launch on exchanges. We have not announced which exchanges those are yet, but we're pretty excited in terms of what we have ready to announce already, and kind of like the final touches on some other announcements that are coming down the pipeline as well. So definitely keep an eye out for that. On our Discord, on the Telegram, and on Twitter. In terms of the structure for the public round, we're actually whitelisting folks now, so you can head over to our website and sign up with your details, and then we're taking whitelist options there. And then we'll be kind of announcing closer to the exchange launch date, the way that the tokens will actually be claimed for that and the related portal. Timothy, do you have anything you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, I'll just add. I guess if anyone's in here has participated in a public sale or an IDO, that typically very convoluted. At least ones I've participated in have been. We wanted to just really keep it simple. As Merv said, you sign up, you join the whitelist. Everyone who signs up is on that whitelist. So everyone here today, if you go to our site and sign up, you have the possibility of entering our public sale. Again, in the efforts of wanting to make things fair, not based on how much tokens you hold of X amount. We wanted to give everyone the opportunity to take part. So how it will work from now forward, you have until the 19th to be whitelisted. And from then on, there'll be 48 hours to carry out KYC, which is, of course, an essential part of a public sale. And then shortly after, the round will be live to whitelisted and KYC wallets on a first-come, first-served basis until the round is filled. So that's the kind of the mechanics of it, at least the community round. We've got more details to come on initial exchange offering and more. But one other thing I wanted to touch on, I know some of the Satoshi community have already been involved in this, but FORE, hopefully you will have gotten the impression of this already. We love incentives and the way that incentives drive behavior, and we find it's really interesting to watch how that plays out. So we wanted to kind of bring that element to our public sale as well. So when you do enter the whitelist, a referral link is generated, and for every friend that signs up through your link, you'll receive additional entries, and the more entries you get, the more chance you'll have of winning 100,000 FORE. So that's not whether or not you can participate in the public sale, because we wanted to give everyone that opportunity. It's just an added kind of incentive, whether you participate or not. By helping grow the the public sale whitelist, you can enter this competition and potentially win 100,000 FORE. So just wanted to add that into there.
Yes, thank you very much for your answers. Just to add, for all those who are on the call currently, do ensure you join all the relevant communities of FORE Protocol, and also follow all their social handles as well. I mean, that's a more better and easier way to get yourself informed and always keep yourself up to date with what's happening. Thank you, Merv. Thank you, Timothy, for your answers to the questions that we've asked so far. By the way, Merv, just wanted to comment that your audio sounds way better now. So I think we're done with the first part of the AMA. You want to say something, Merv?
No, just wanted to say thank you all for the great questions, and Jonah, thanks for your great follow-up questions as well.
Yeah, agreed on that.
Thank you. Yeah, so I think we can proceed to the second part for AMA. So we'll be opening the AMA chat for 120 seconds, that's 2 minutes, so that our community members will send in your questions. So when the chat is closed, then you'll be given the chance to select questions. So for now, I'll be opening the chat. And yes, the chat is opened.
I'm excited to see how it goes.
Yes. So you can wait until you're done and close the chat, then we'll go ahead and select 5 questions.
And John,
So how would like?
let's also
go ahead.
remind to our community that, guys, please do not send more than 3 questions. Please make sure to send authentic questions, so do not copy them from any external sources. And as Jonah said before, please do not forget to join FORE Protocol Discord channel, and for sure Satoshi Club Discord channel too. Thank you.
Lots coming in.
I'm sure you have an easy time selecting questions.
Yeah, going through them now. There's some great questions in here. And it's nice to see some faces we've seen over in the FORE channels as well. So great to see the two kind of communities merging.
Yeah, absolutely. And if anyone has any follow-up questions that we didn't get to, feel free to connect with us on Twitter. We're generally pretty active on there, and we try to get to respond to as many messages on there as we can. So definitely connect with us and send your questions there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
So I've got one here that I can kick off with while we're waiting for the other ones to load, which is what's the difference between traditional predictions and FORE? And I think that's a good question. So I would say that firstly, FORE Predict is a predictions ecosystem rather than just a prediction market or betting platform even, because as we've touched on, it allows users to participate in all aspects of the predictions, whether it's the market creation or the validation itself. So we've touched on the kind of the specifics there, but I think even when looking at other kind of leading DeFi prediction markets in the space, there's still a vast difference between what we're building and DeFi predictions, quote unquote. So, and this is not to throw shade on anyone. It's rising tide lifts all seas. We're not trying to kind of be calling anyone out, but if I look at Polymarket, for example, they are a prediction market that is built on the blockchain, but they still operate in pretty much the same way that a traditional prediction market, like a bookmaker or casino would. they are still the house. They still determine, what markets you can participate in. They still take a share of the market, and then they charge you, withdrawal and deposit fees on your own funds, which, again, we don't think that that's very much in the nature or the spirit of decentralization. I think it's also important to note that we are not a prediction market ourselves. We are simply, the set of smart contracts that facilitate the community creation and participation in prediction markets. So there is no house on FORE, and I think that's ultimately the biggest difference between us and any kind of predictions entity. And really the community, as we've touched on so many times, but it is the driving force behind FORE, and we've developed it we've designed it rather to kind of grow alongside our users, and whether it be through feedback or suggesting new market structures. So it's very much it's a kind of this self-sustaining ecosystem that we hope will bring transparency and democracy to such a huge market that and finally people will be able to actually kind of reap some of the rewards for themselves rather than that going to these centralized entities.
Right, thank you for your answer. So we have 4 more questions. So how we would like you to do that is that for each of the questions you want to answer, just tag the questions like with a number. So we already have one already. So for the second, you tag it, you reply with the question exactly. So once we're done selecting 4 questions, then we can go ahead and start answering them one by one after the other. Just like you just did now. We have 1, so that means we have 3 more.
Still scrolling through. I don't know if Merv, if you have any in there, you can see. Well, I can jump in on this one as well. Sorry, did you say we're replying to them first and then answering them after?
Yes, you just reply them with a number. Yeah, then we'll answer them after.
Cool.
Just helping us to check the eligibility of each user to get rewarded.
Got it. Just want to make sure I'm doing
not to miss the names of the users. Yes.
Yeah. So another area, then another question. Sorry, could you comment on the various utilities of NFTs and their rarity level in relation to the different ranks? So we have several different NFTs in the FORE ecosystem, but I'm going to talk specifically about the analyst NFTs firstly. So as we've said, in order to validate a market, you need to have an analyst NFT. In order to obtain one, you lock a 1,000 FORE into that, and then you're able to mint this NFT. Everyone starts on blue, which is essentially 0. You have no additional multiplier power. There's no kind of incremental rewards from that. So through these series of consecutive successful validations, you will level up to a silver, which will then increase your multiplier power. And the same goes for kind of gold and then to black. So the number of validations that will be required to level up to the black NFT on day 1 will not be set in stone forever. So essentially, this creates an opportunity for day 1 validators to lock in a kind of low barrier to obtaining the highest NFT level and the highest reward level at a relatively quick pace, ahead of other people who will be coming onto the protocol at a later date. The reason we've done that is because if everyone is able to level up to a black NFT, it doesn't really, where's the kind of scarcity of that black NFT if everyone is gaining that same amount of rewards. So in short, for anyone who is listening to this, I would recommend that you follow any news relating to mainnet, which is coming up very soon following our audit, and lock in your early validator rewards on day 1, because they, in 6 months' time, it's going to look a lot different, and it's going to be a lot harder to get to that highest reward level.
I can see that Merv have selected 2 more questions. So I think that would be 1 more question to select. one more question to select, and then we continue to answer them.
Okay. Maybe I can run through. Let's see here.
I can read the question for you.
Yeah, I have it here. How complicated would a platform like FORE Protocol be for a user who's used to betting on a traditional prediction platform? Is the user interface totally different, or have you made an effort to make it as user-friendly as possible? Apart from that, how can they put their money on the platform? Can you do it with a credit card, or do you need to buy tokens on a centralized or a decentralized exchange previously? It's a really good question by Kev Salom. So I think, generally speaking, we took a really big effort and an undertaking to kind of make sure that the protocol user interface, the general kind of steps involved in interacting with it, and the feature set as a whole were very intuitive, and overall would be very kind of like a logical flow. It definitely, when you kind of think about a traditional predictions market participant, even something like a casino or something like this, it's typically a rather analytical person, and that's definitely the case for FORE as well. But the beauty of FORE, as Timothea and others mentioned and alluded to earlier, is the fact that people really can find their own kind of niche in these three roles, right? So you have the market creator, and so users really can just create great markets and focus on as Timothea mentioned, marketing that market, or in other words, getting the word out and participation there. And the benefit is, they really can, they can gain the rewards as a percentage of the participation in that market. Now that is a really interesting feature that doesn't exist in the real world, right? And it doesn't exist alternatively, currently on the blockchain. And so we're trying to bring that feature set. So, there's definitely an education component, but we think that, it's intuitive enough and the incentives are high enough, across these three roles, as I mentioned, the market creator, the player, and the analyst role, where it's paralleled enough. The feature set is really easy to use, and that was a lot of the some of the feedback that we got with the testnet, and we're making significant improvements since we've taken it offline to make those improvements and implement them. So overall, I think adapting to the FORE protocol and FORE Predict ecosystem is pretty straightforward. So currently, and what the immediate roadmap will allow for is to purchase the FORE token on centralized and decentralized exchanges, and we already have those agreements in place, and are working toward that. But the ultimate goal, and without sharing too much publicly, at this stage, we are in talks and are working toward also longer term having more of a fiat on ramp that could plug directly into our into the community's ecosystem and the app, and allow for kind of greater participation. But that's something that will probably come subsequent to obviously the token listing and the mainnet launch. Timothea, did I miss anything there? Maybe you want to add anything?
No, it's all good, because that was going to be my question 5. So I'll just add a little bit onto why I think that's important for us, because if we look at kind of other decentralized prediction markets that have gone before, they have failed to capture market share from traditional markets because of the difficulty in onboarding new users into DeFi. Obviously, it's a big barrier for a lot of projects in this space. So for us, when we look at our kind of target audiences right now, we are focusing on the the DeFi native and the crypto beta. But for us to scale and for us to reach kind of mass adoption, we need to be able to bring in the traditional beta who knows how to use an app on their phone and not much else. Blockchain is is new to them. So that's not going to be solved in one day. There's still a lot that needs to change as an industry in order for us to achieve that. But I think the fiat on-ramp is a kind of milestone towards that in enabling people to access access the platform via Apple Pay, Samsung, Visa, MasterCard, whatever else you name it. So I think that's going to be a really critical step for adoption for us.
Okay, perfect. So
I think there's
yeah,
that's me. Yeah, I've answered 5. So Merv, if you want to just get
the question
to
number 4 that is left.
Yeah.
yes, yeah, the roadmap and next priorities.
Yeah, of course. So as we mentioned, we'll be listing on exchanges at the end of this month. The key focus right now for us is making sure that we're pushing toward the quality public sale. As Timothy mentioned, you can join the whitelist on our website. So make sure you check that out at foreprotocol.io. And that really is kind of the key focus right now from a from our perspective, where we're kind of pushing through that. And then subsequently, we're going to be launching our mainnet. That the key dependency for us there is we're working with one of the large auditing smart contract auditing companies in terms of completing a very thorough and robust auditing process and kind of review process, as well as making whatever requisite changes need to be made. So that is underway currently, and our intention is to complete that and then release the mainnet after that. So stay tuned in terms of that, but definitely go to our website. Make sure you're joining the whitelist, and join our communities on Telegram, here on Discord, and on Twitter. We're very active on all those channels, and frankly we're very accessible. We feel like we're part of the community. We want everyone to be leaders in this community and helping drive things forward and drive greater adoption. So looking forward to getting you all in the community and definitely on the mainnet. Timothy, anything to add there?
No, I think that's a great way to end it. Yeah, so as I said earlier, it's an exciting time. What Merv's just mentioned is all happening in just right now. Essentially, there's a ton more that we have planned in the next 6 months and year ahead in terms of mobile app and expanding our both the FORE Predict as well as the other FORE Protocol applications. But right now our focus is launching FORE, and looking forward to doing alongside all of you guys, and appreciate you being here for the AMA, and thank you for all of your questions.
Thank you
Thanks,
very
everyone.
much, Timothy and Merv. Yeah, thank you very much for your answers. I must say that this was an impressive AMA, and you did justice as far as providing the right questions to our answers is concerned. And just want to let you know that we'll still be keeping an eye on the overall progress of FORE Protocol, and of course we are looking forward to having more partnership with you. We also wish you the best with your plans as well. Just like you've mentioned, there are lots of plans that you have in the pipelines. We're also excited to see how all those plans will come to actualization. Once again, thank you very much, guys. Thank you everyone for actually joining us here today for this AMA.
Thank you,
Yes.
guys. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, guys. Yes, and just a reminder to everyone who's listening to us, guys. The link to the quiz will be dropped in the AMA chat just in a few moments. So just keep an eye on it, and please participate in the quiz about the FORE protocol. We want to thank everyone for being here with us. Thank you, Jonah, and have a nice day ahead.
It's super well. Bye, everyone.
Bye.